Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. It is Thursday, and you know what we got for Thursday? Well, you read the title, so you know what we got. We got King of Wrath for you guys today. Chapters 11 and 12. Your boy is excited. I hope that you guys are excited as well. We're going to see what goes on in this twisted, unhinged relationship that they've got going on with each other. Yeah. It's weird because, in these kind of books, I love the whole, tension building and all that kind of stuff, because obviously it leads to that big moment when they finally get together and, suck each other's faces and do all that crazy shit. But in this one, it's so weird because it's they're starting off as rivals that are in this engagement that they want/don't want. It's a little weird to me. I don't know. Like I said, I am definitely enjoying the book, but it is definitely one of those more oddly peculiar relationships, I mean, if you want to say, you could say Zaid and Adeline's relationship were a little like this too, but I mean, obviously it was a thing where Zaid was just infatuated with her and she was the one that was kind of fighting it until she gave in, to where these two, they both are fighting this love that they have for each other weirdly. And then I wonder how they're going to reconcile to the point where they feel you know what, I do love you, I do want to be married to you, I do want to be with you, you know what I mean? I wonder what event is going to have to take place in order for them to get to that moment, that is kind of where my excitement for this book is leading me to, where I'm okay, how are we going to get to the point where they go from hating each other to literally sucking each other's faces off, I'm excited to see where that goes. Hopefully you guys are too. But without further ado, let's get into today's thread before we get into the into the book. We have our thread, what's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Oh, baby. Let's see what craziness has happened during a hookup. All right? Hooked up with a girl that had a 4-year-old daughter. Mid-foreplay, the handle of the door rattled, so we threw the covers over ourselves. Kid comes in and walks up to us, and she says, "Can I call you Dad?" What? I just froze and didn't know what to say. Her mom took her out of the room, and I could hear the sad conversation about her wishing she could have a dad again. Oh, bruh. If I was in that situation, I would be oh, I would be your dad. You know what I mean? As crazy as it sounds, you would so feel bad. You'd be yo, that would be just heart-wrenching. I wouldn't lie to you. Man, that would absolutely suck. I'd be what the fuck was all that about? Because, yo, dang, man. Oh, shit. What's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Not exactly mid-hookup, but post-hookup. Our wife and I were going at it in her grandma's downstairs bathroom because it was the only room in the house with a lock. Well, we broke the toilet seat, so we just propped it up and pretended like nothing happened. A couple hours later, her dad comes to us and gives us $20, tells us to replace the toilet seat quietly because he thought he did it. Oh, shit. I guess you guys weren't as sneaky as you thought. Yeah, cause hey, he was just like, hey, look, just go ahead and change out the seat real quick. I ain't gonna say nothing. You ain't gonna say nothing. This never happened, and moms ain't gotta know. All right, like keep it on the hush hush DL, and we good. We gonna take all this to the grave. You know what I mean? That's crazy, bro. All right. What's the most awkward thing that happened mid hookup? I'm 6'2", the girl was 5 foot, picked her up to throw her in bed, missed the bed completely. Oh, bruh. Where did you throw her? You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm for that shit. Oh, man. Yeah. I love that shit. I love picking a girl up and just throwing her onto the bed. That's the shit right there. You know what I mean? Especially when she bounces and then, she looks back up like, oh, yeah. Oh, you about to do some things to me. You know what I mean? You about to do some things to me. I ain't gonna lie to you. That is the best shit ever. But, bro, where did you throw her? And I ain't gonna lie to you. In my time of, picking a girl up and throwing her on the bed, yes, she has bounced off the bed once before. I've had that happen. That was tough. I felt so bad. It is such a mood killer. That's why doing that not all the time works. But, hey, when you're able to get that right toss, you toss her just right and she lands on the bed, bounces and she looks at you like, yeah, some shit about to happen, it's fantastic. But yes, it does happen where, sometimes she'll bounce and fall off the bed and you're like, oh, are you good? Are you good? Because, are you still in the mood? Because a lot of times, bro, that be killing the mood and quick. Sheesh, man. Yeah, I wonder where he threw her, bro, because goddamn. All right, what's the most awkward thing that happened mid-hookup? Grandma walked in on me and the lady at the time yells down to my mom, he can't come down, he's playing with himself. That's crazy.
Bruh.
That's wild. You could have at least said I'm having sex. At least let me look cool, Grandma. God damn. She threw your bitch ass under the bus real quick. At least say I'm having sex. You know what I mean? At least make it seem like I'm cool to some degree. You're just making it look like I'm just beating my chicken, bro. Come on, dog. Like, Grandma, I thought we was cool. I so would have went downstairs and I'd have been like, yo, Grandma, what the fuck? I thought we was cool. You know what I mean? What the hell, man? Hey, you out here fucking up my reputation, Grandma. Damn. All right, what's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Her dog decided that my anus needed to be investigated, both sniffed and taste test. Oh, look, bro, there is no way. There's no way I am continuing the canoodle session after a dog sniffed and licked my butthole, bruh. My boner would be gone so fast, bruh. You have no idea how fast my Johnson would just shrivel up, bro. I would be full mass, and then butthole gets licked, and I'm just, you know what I mean? And I'm just like womp 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 womp. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That is how violated I would feel by that dog, man. Oh, that is terrible. The only thing I've ever had happen, like when it came to, doing something sexual with and a dog comes and interrupts, is like a girl I used to date in high school. We were on like her parents' couch or whatever. And I was just like, I got done like fingering her or whatever. And then her parents came down. And so we, got under the covers. And the hand that I was, fingering her with was like hanging off of the bed. And then her dog, it came over and smelled my hand and started licking it. I was like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Oh, yeah. No, that was weird. That was mad weird. I was like, what the hell? All right, what's the most awkward thing that happened mid-hookup? I had a one-night stand with a friend when I was 18. It was going great. Then her phone rang, and she answered it. She had a quick conversation with her mom while I was literally inside her. I didn't hear it at all, but I caught the end of the conversation. Are you busy? Yes, Mom. Are you having sex? Yes. Sigh. Okay. Hangs up. Wait a minute.
What did he say?
Hold up. How did this has happened before? And it's happened so many times to the point where your mom just knows? Bro, that's crazy. That is what that mom must just be like, oh, hey, honey, are you busy right now? Yeah, I'm busy. Are you having sex right now? Like, yeah. Boop. My fucking whore of a daughter is having sex right now. Like, bro, I guarantee that's what she thinks. Because if it happens that often, bro, like, oh my God, that's crazy. That is insanity. Absolutely insanity that it happens that much. Damn. All right, what's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Someone called his phone. It was his ex, and he answered. I guess that marked the end of the hookup more than the middle. What the fuck? So he was hooking up with you, and then his ex calls and is just like, oh, I'll come over. And he's like, oh, for sure. Pulls out of you, and it's just like, yeah, you got to go home. I got to go. Like, what? Bro, what? That is insanity. His ex must just have a kung fu grip over this man for him to literally pull out of some coochie to then go see her. Like, what? Oh my goodness, bruh. Like I said, what kind of kung fu grip does she got on him? Because there ain't no way I'm pulling out some coochie to go see my ex. Like, what? Huh? There ain't no way. That's crazy. All right. What's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Was dating a widow. One night we were trying it up against a freestanding wardrobe, going hard at it, and the vibrations dislodged something, and it struck me on the head. Ended up splitting my scalp open, and the paramedics had to come and take me to the hospital because it was deep as fuck. So naked, bleeding from a 5-inch gash on the back of my head, and lying in the fetal position, wishing we had just stuck to the bed. The item that hit me, her old wedding album full of photos of the deceased groom. Yo! We ended up joking afterward that he was haunting me from the grave from the straight up rogering I was giving his wife. Now check the top of the bookshelves and cupboards before using them as places to bang. Bro! Okay, first off, rogering.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
That's a little, that's okay. All right, but hey, it's all good. You rogered great there, mate. But yeah, I was so thinking that the moment he said, you know what hit me was the wedding album of the deceased groom and her. I was like, yeah, nigga, you was getting haunted, bro. He was like, this bitch, how dare she get some dick while I'm dead? You're supposed to be mourning me, you hoe. And his ghost grabbed it and he launched that shit at him. Yeah, I would too. I would too. If I was dead and I'm just like keeping a humble watch over my lovely wife who is mourning me so much, and then she brings this random man in here talking about, oi, I'm gonna give you a great rogering, darling. Like, no, you're not. I am going to throw the heaviest object I demonly possibly can. Like, what the fuck, man? That's crazy, bro. Oh my goodness. All right, what's the most awkward thing that's happened mid hookup? First girlfriend, her room was a converted garage. I had come over when she was watching her sister, and her mom and stepdad were away on trips. There was a long hallway to her room so we could hear anyone coming down the hall. We were going at it pretty heavy, and we hear the garage door to the hallway open. We throw clothes on real quick and unpause the TV. Her little sister comes in and asks if she can have popcorn or whatever, then casually tells my girlfriend, name, your sweater is on backwards and inside out. At least make it look believable. Yo, little sis was just like, hey, I know you were fucking. Why? Because you got your sweater on inside out and backwards. You fucking harlot. Oh shit. Little sis knew what was going on. I would have been like, if you knew what was going on, why the fuck did you interrupt us? You know what I mean? Let me fuck your sister in peace, bro. Like, goddamn. You out here cock blocking you, boy. God dang you, man. Shit. Unless you're trying to join in, fuck off. Like, shit. That would be all bad, man. All right. What's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? Girlfriend and I came back from a night out and was going buck wild in one of the rooms in her house. As we finished and got up to leave the room, I stumbled over her old brother who was sleeping on the floor. That sobered me up real quick. Yo. That's crazy. Homie was sleeping on the floor the entire time. And the worst part about it is he had to hear his sister getting fucked, bruh. Oh, no. He had to hear his sister getting digged down, bruh. Oh, worst day ever. There's no way, bruh. There's no way. That would be I'm so glad I don't have a sister, man. Oh, because I just couldn't even, like, think about that. You know what I mean? Nah, man. Nah, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible, man. All right, what's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? All right. The most awkward thing that happened mid-hookup with a new guy was when I completely misjudged what was going on. We're at his place, things are heating up, and I'm in my element. Taking charge and setting the pace, he's wearing a condom, but I notice he's getting a bit soft. So I assume he's having trouble staying hard. Trying to be helpful, I keep going, switching positions, keep things moving, thinking I'm saving the moment. Then he makes this odd face and just freezes, and I'm like, you good? Turns out he'd already finished in the condom minutes earlier and was too shy to say anything while I was still going full throttle. We both stop. There's this cringeworthy pause, and then we burst out laughing. Him stammering about not knowing how to interrupt me. I felt so dumb for missing it, but we checked the condom was fine and ended up laughing it off, messing around more lightly after. Bro, I feel this man's pain, bro. Oh, I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel this man's pain because I remember, and this was, years ago. This was like my ex-fiance when we first started dating, like when we first started dating, and we first started having sex. It had been a minute. I hadn't canoodled in a hot minute. It was a while since I had some action, and so I had. We finally got down to doing it. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I lasted like 6-7 good strokes. Yes, that's for you young kids out there. But yeah, bro, I'm telling you, around like 6 to 7 strokes, bro, I was out. And then I didn't want to tell her. I was like, oh man, like, this is the first time we actually getting down to business and we doing our thing. And I'm out here, 6 pump chumping it. I was like, okay. I was like, we got to play it off. We got to fucking play it off, bro. And I was playing it off. Oh, man. And then I had to, like, kind of fake nut a little bit. I was just like, oh, shit. Theatrics. Give me an Oscar. When I was busting in that shit, I was like, oh, oh, theatrics. Oh my God. And she was like, oh my God, that was great. And I was just like, I am so glad that was great. Because, woo, girl, you don't know. I busted like a while ago. I busted when this bitch started. You know what I mean? Because I ain't going to lie to you, man. It was one of those like, I was rearing, ready to go. Your boy was hard up to the tip. I was like, I am ready for this. And, you know, it just went in smooth. And I was like, oh, I ain't surviving in this. And I already knew. All right, it was one of those like I was trying to keep the pace slow, but it just was feeling too good. She was doing something strange in there. And like, it was like I wasn't even humping, but I nutted. And I was like, oh, bro. And so I was like, fuck it. I might as well just get up in there and just go. Yeah, man. Hey, I feel that man's pain. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's tough. Lucky for me, she didn't find out. But for you, she found. You know, she kind of found out. That sucks. But yeah, bro. Whew, I feel that man's pain. Oh, I know the guys out there. You guys have been feeling the pain too. You know what I mean? We have at least, you know, that moment every once in a while. It just happens. All right. What's the most awkward thing that's happened mid hookup? I missed her ass and slapped my own balls full forced and then puked. Oh,
Bruh.
Oh. Oh, bruh. Like, okay, it's bad enough you hit your balls, but then you threw up on her. Oh, man. Imagine. As the girl, you know, you're just getting doggy styled up, and then out of nowhere, you just feel like this splash on your back, and you're like, oh. I bet the girls listening to this right now are like, what? Oh, my God, bro. Oh, that's terrible. Oh. I am so glad, bro. That has never happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, out of all the times, you know, I've been drunk and hooked up with a girl or anything like that. Like, or you know, we go out, like, say I take her out on a date and we eat and our stomachs are full or whatever, and we still do it. And I'm just so glad this never happened, because that is the most disgusting thing that could ever happen, bro. Oh, that's just so bad. All right, this will be our last one, and then we'll get through announcements and then get right into our book, okay? What's the most awkward thing that's happened mid-hookup? When I was 18, my boyfriend's foreskin on his uncircumcised penis got stuck in my braces.
Bruh.
Oh, and I feel his pain. You know, I am a member of the hooded gang, and that kind of pain would be immeasurable. Oh my God, you have no idea how much pain that would put you in. Oh man, I remember in high school I dated a girl who had braces. I did not let her suck on my dick. I was like, no, thank you. No, that is not going to happen. And she had like the rubber bands and shit in her mouth and stuff. And don't get me wrong. Like, to this day, I still think girls with braces is kind of hot. I ain't going to lie to you. But I ain't trusting it. You know what I mean? I ain't trusting it, bro. Because all it takes is a little too much teeth action, and it gets caught up in there. And now we're calling 911 talking about, yeah, the front door is open, you know, foreskin stuck in her braces. And we got the paramedics literally trying to get my dick out of her mouth, you know, literally. Like, bro, no. I couldn't do it, bruh. I'm sorry. That's why I'm just like, no thanks. I'm good. Because I remember when I was younger, I got it stuck in my zipper, and thank God it wasn't stuck like too crazy. And so then I pulled it out. Oh, that shit sucked. I had a cut on my penis for like months. It sucked, dude. It sucked. I had this nick on my dick for like months, dude. It sucked. Terrible. Absolutely terrible, man. Oh, but that's going to go ahead and be the end of that thread, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that absolutely hilarious thread. That thread was fucking hilarious. I won't lie to you. Hope you guys enjoyed that thread. I know I did. But we're going to hop into announcements, and then we're going to get right on into the book. So if you guys have a crazy hookup, embarrassing story or whatever, definitely put it down in the comments. Let your boy know. So without further ado, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast. Get an exclusive episode every single Friday, as well as being able to send in your scenario to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday show. All right. If you are a part of the 7-day free trial or a full paid member, you can listen to the Patreon episodes on Spotify. There is a link down in the description where you can click that and you can listen to all the episodes, all the Spotify episodes on Spotify, or all the Patreon episodes on Spotify, as long as you are part of the 7-day free trial or a full paid member. Audio listeners, thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys have been killing it, man. As of late, you guys have been killing it. I love all of the support you guys have been showing. Thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are definitely the GOATs, man. I really, really do appreciate that. And if you guys want to help out even more, make sure you download the episodes, rating us 5 stars on your preferred platform, following us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as subscribing on YouTube. All that is free, and it helps out the show tremendously. All right. Every Friday, Sunday, and Monday, we do live stream. We live stream on TikTok, YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. So if you guys want to catch a live stream, definitely come on by. We play very interesting games, a lot of indie games, a lot of games that you guys recommend, all kinds of cool stuff. You know, we chit chat, we have a good time, we joke around, you know, we make a little bit of racist jokes, we make a little bit of funny jokes. You guys make fun of me a little bit. It's a good time, man. Come on by and hang out. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get into King of Wrath. Chapters 11 and 12. I'm excited about this. Hopefully you guys are too. But without further ado, let's get on into it. All right.
Chapter 11. Vivian. I couldn't sleep. I'd collapsed into bed 3 hours ago, my body exhausted but my mind racing like I'd injected it with a dozen shots of espresso. I'd tried counting sheep, fantasizing about Asher Donovan, and listening to my alarm clock's built-in white noise feature, but none of it worked. Every time I closed my eyes, images from the engagement party played on a broken loop. Dante's hand around my wrist, the graze of his fingers along my spine, the low rumble of his voice in my ear. Welcome to the truce, mia cara. Tingles erupted over every inch of my body. I groaned and turned on my side, hoping the change in position would shake the persistent memory of Dante's touch and rough velvet voice. It didn't. Honestly, I was surprised he'd agreed so readily to the truce. We hadn't exchanged more than a dozen words since I left him on the sidewalk bench after our engagement shoot, but actively ignoring him was more draining than I'd expected. The penthouse was massive, yet we somehow ran into each other multiple times a day, him coming out of his bedroom while I walked to mine, me catching a breath of fresh air while he took a call on the balcony, us sneaking into the screening room for a late-night movie at the same time. One of us always left when we saw the other, but I couldn't turn the corner without my heart rate jumping in anticipation of colliding with Dante. The truce was the best option for my sanity and blood pressure. Plus, the one unguarded conversation we'd had so far had been nice. Unexpected, but nice. There was a heart somewhere beneath Dante's grumpy, scowly exterior. It may be black and shriveled, but it was there. The numbers on my clock flipped from 12:02 a.m. to 12:03 a.m. My stomach emitted an angry growl at the same time. After subsisting on nothing except a handful of hors d'oeuvres and champagne all day, it was finally rebelling. I groaned again. It was technically too late to eat, but what the hell? I couldn't sleep anyway. After a moment's hesitation, I tossed my covers off and tiptoed out of my room and down the hall. I hadn't had a midnight snack in years, but I was suddenly craving an old favorite food combo. I flipped on the kitchen lights, opened the fridge, and scanned the contents until I located a jar of sliced pickles and a bowl of chocolate pudding on the bottom shelf. Aha! I set my bounty on the kitchen island before I hunted for the last ingredient. Dried pasta, condiments, cookies, seaweed crisps. I opened and closed the endless row of cabinets, searching for a distinctive cardboard tube. The cabinets were so high I had to stand on tiptoes to see into the back, and my arms and thighs were starting to ache. Why did Dante have so much storage space? Who needed an entire cabinet of cooking oils? If I didn't...
What are you doing?
I jumped and stifled a scream at the unexpected voice. My hip banged against the counter when I whipped around, sparking a jolt of pain whose reverberations matched the suddenly frantic beats of my heart. Dante stood in the doorway, his gaze bemused as it traveled between me and the open cabinet. For once, he wasn't wearing a suit and tie. Instead, a white t-shirt stretched across his shoulders, emphasizing the sculpted planes of his muscles and the deep bronze of his skin. Black sweatpants hung just low enough to elicit dirty thoughts before I quashed them. "You scared me." My voice came out breathier than intended. "What are you doing up?" It was a stupid question. Obviously, he was up for the same reason I was, but I couldn't think straight through the fog of adrenaline.
Couldn't sleep.
The rough drawl drifted toward me and settled low between my legs.
Guess I'm not the only one.
His eyes held mine for a brief moment before they flicked over me. A sense of déjà vu spilled down the length of my spine. But unlike at our first meeting, I detected a crack in Dante's indifference. It was tiny, just a shadow of a flame, but it was enough to fill my stomach with flutters. His perusal paused at my midsection. The shadow expanded, darkening his eyes from rich brown to near obsidian. I looked down, and my heart stumbled when I saw what caught his attention. I slept hot, so I usually wore some variation of a silk camisole and boy shorts to bed. It was fine for the privacy of my bedroom, but completely inappropriate when faced with company. The shorts stopped an inch above mid-thigh, and my top had ridden up sometime during my cabinet foraging, revealing a generous expanse of bare skin. When I looked up again, Dante's gaze had returned to my face. I held still, afraid to breathe as he moved toward me with the languid, powerful grace of a predator stalking its prey. Every soft footfall was another lit flame in the space between us. He stopped when his body heat enveloped mine. Inches away, so close I could count the individual stubbles shadowing his jaw.
What are you looking for?
His casual tone clashed with the tension brewing in the air, but I simply said the first thing that came to mind. Pringles? Classic. There was no answer like the truth. I discreetly tugged my top down while Dante reached into the cabinet above my head. The tiny breeze from his movement brushed my skin. Goosebumps pebbled, and something hot coiled in my stomach. He retrieved an unopened can of chips and handed it to me without a word. "Thank you." I clutched the tube, unsure what to do next. Part of me wanted to escape to the safety of my room. The other part wanted to stay and see how long I could play with fire without getting burned.
Pringles, pickles, and pudding.
Dante saved me from a decision.
Interesting combination.
Relief loosened the knot in my chest. My breath came out easier now that I had something to focus on other than my body's unwilling reaction to his. "They taste good together. Don't knock it till you've tried it." I took control of my limbs again and sidestepped him on my way to the island. The touch of his gaze followed me, an insistent pressure on the small of my back. I opened the can of Pringles. "Don't turn around."
Apologies. Far be it from me to question your snack choices.
A trace of dry amusement ran through his voice. I heard the fridge open behind me, followed by the clink of silverware and the click of a shutting cabinet door. A minute later, Dante slid onto the stool beside me. My mouth parted when he began assembling his snack. You make fun of me for my food choices, but you're pouring soy sauce over ice cream? The earlier tension retreated in the face of my shock. Forget the way his muscles flexed with each movement or the way his shirt hugged his torso. He was committing a crime against humanity right before my eyes.
Drizzling, not pouring. And don't knock it till you've tried it.
Dante mocked, throwing my earlier words back at me.
I bet it tastes better than the abomination you put together.
His brow hitched at the chip in my hand, which I dipped in pudding and topped with a pickle. My eyes narrowed at the silent challenge. I doubt it. I lifted his hand and dropped my lovingly assembled snack in his open palm. He stared at it like it was a piece of old gum stuck to his shoe. Let's swap and see who's wrong and who's right. I pulled his bowl toward me with a small grimace. I loved ice cream, and I loved soy sauce. Separately. Some things weren't meant to mix, but I was willing to choke it down to make my point. Namely, I was right, and he was wrong.
I'm always right,
Dante said. He eyed me and then my snack with a hint of intrigue.
Fine, I'll bite. On the count of 3.
I almost asked if the pun was on purpose before I remembered his sense of humor was more underdeveloped than a toddler's vocabulary. 1, I said.
2.
His grimace matched mine. 3. I spooned a serving of ice cream into my mouth at the same time he bit into my chip. Silence filled the room, interrupted only by the crunch of food and the hum of the fridge. I'd braced myself for a wave of revulsion, but the combination of French vanilla and soy sauce was... That can't be right. Maybe my taste buds were broken. I helped myself to another scoop just to make sure. Dante's mouth curled into a knowing grin.
Going back for seconds already?
Don't act so smug. It's not that good, I lied.
In that case, I'll take the ice cream back.
No. I pulled the bowl closer to my chest. I've already eaten from it. It's unhygienic to share food. Get your own bowl. Dante's grin widened. I let out a sigh. Fine. It tastes good. Are you happy? I shot a pointed look at the island top. I'm not the only one who was wrong. You finished half the chips in the past 5 minutes.
That's an exaggeration.
He dipped another pickle and chip combo in the pudding.
But this isn't as terrible as I thought.
See? I'll never steer you wrong when it comes to food. I dug my spoon into a fresh scoop of vanilla and relaxed into the unfamiliar but not unpleasant ease between us. Maybe the truce had been a good idea after all. How did you come up with this combo anyway? I couldn't imagine Dante sampling different food pairings in his free time until he found a winner like I had. From what I saw, he barely had time to eat. He was silent for a long moment before he said,
Luca and I hung out in the kitchen a lot as kids. We had a game room, pool, all the latest toys. Pretty much everything anyone under the age of 12 could want. But sometimes we wanted company other than each other. And the chef was one of the few people in the household who treated us like actual people. He let us play around in there when he wasn't cooking.
Dante shrugged.
We were kids. We experimented.
My insides warmed at the mental image of little Dante running around the kitchen with his brother. You two must be close. I'd met Luca at the engagement party. He'd been polite enough, though I got the sense he wasn't thrilled about my marriage to his brother. We'd only talked for a few minutes before he abruptly excused himself. Dante's face shuddered.
Not as close as we used to be.
I paused at the strange note in his voice. For some reason, his brother was a sore subject. Does he work for the company? I ventured when he didn't offer any more information. I didn't want to push Dante too hard and have him shut down when we were finally making progress, but I couldn't contain my curiosity. I didn't know much about him beyond what was public knowledge. He came from a very old, very wealthy family that made its fortune in textiles before his grandfather founded the Russo Group and expanded the family empire into what it was today. He'd graduated top of his class from Harvard Business School and increased his company's market value fivefold since taking over as CEO. He eliminated his competition with shocking effectiveness, either by crushing or acquiring them, and the ruthlessness of his security team had catapulted him to mythical status. I may have read up on Dante while he was in Europe.
He does now.
Dante's tone suggested the change had not been Luca's choice.
He interned at the company in college. It was a disaster, so our grandfather allowed him to pursue his passions instead of taking on a corporate role. He already had me as an heir. He didn't need Luca, but giving my brother too much freedom was a mistake. Luca bounced around from job to job for a decade. He was a DJ one day, an actor the next. He sank half his trust fund into a nightclub that folded within 8 months of opening. He needs stability and structure, not more time and money to burn.
It was the most words I'd heard come out of Dante's mouth since we met. So you gave him a job, I surmised. What does he do now?
Salesman.
The corner of Dante's mouth kicked up when I gave him a skeptical look.
He doesn't get special treatment because he's my brother. When I started at the Russo Group, I worked as a stock clerk. It was one of the greatest lessons my grandfather taught me. In order to lead a company, you have to know the company. Every facet, every position, every detail. Leaders who are out of touch are leaders who fail.
Somehow, Dante managed to surprise me every time we talked. I'd expected him to run his company from the top down with no care for his employees and blatant abuse of nepotism the way many of his peers did. But his philosophy made sense. Since I couldn't say that without offending him, I stuck to the topic of his brother. I get the sense Luca doesn't like me, I admitted. Every time I tried to talk to him at the party, he made an excuse and left. Dante paused. Tension dampened the air for a second before his shoulders relaxed and the clouds disappeared.
Don't take it personally. He gets moody at those types of things.
He smoothly switched subjects.
Speaking of the party, you never told me who's on your dream husband list.
Oh, for God's sake. I'd mentioned the list as a joke. I didn't know why he was so fixated on it. But since he was, I might as well have some fun. I'll tell you if you promise not to get an inferiority complex, I said sweetly. I ticked off the names of my favorite celebrities. Nate Reynolds, Asher Donovan, Rafael Pessoa. Dante looked unimpressed.
I didn't realize you were such a big soccer fan.
Asher Donovan and Rafael Pessoa both played for Holchester United in the UK. I'm a soccer player fan, I corrected. There's a difference. I'd watched a total of 3 sports games in my life. I'd only mentioned Asher and Rafael because I saw them in an ad campaign yesterday and they were fresh on my mind.
Reynolds is married, and Donovan and Pessoa live in Europe.
Dante said silkily.
I'm afraid you're out of luck, mia cara.
True. I heaved a long-suffering sigh. In that case, I guess you'll have to do. A laugh bubbled in my throat when he narrowed his eyes.
You're baiting me.
Just a little. My laugh finally spilled out at his scowl. I could practically see the bruises forming on his ego. I didn't have any romantic notions about him being interested in the list because he liked me. He probably hated the idea of not being number 1 on anyone's list. We didn't talk much after that, but the silence between us was less jagged than those from the early days of our engagement. I snuck a glance at Dante as he methodically spread a layer of pudding on the last chip, his brow wrinkled in concentration. It was strangely adorable. I almost laughed again when I pictured how he'd react if he found out anyone described him as adorable. I hid my smile as I swirled my spoon through my melting ice cream. I was suddenly glad I couldn't sleep earlier. Chapter 12. Vivian. Maybe you guys will finally fuck tonight. Isabella's voice crackled through my phone, which I'd propped against the wall so I could see her while I got ready. It's not a truce without an orgasm to close the deal. Issa? What? It's true. You deserve some fun after working your butt off these past few weeks. Her keyboard clicks paused, and a distracted expression crossed her face. Speaking of fun, what do you think my character's signature murder method should be? Poison, strangulation, or good old hacking with a butcher's knife? Poison. It was the only one that didn't turn my stomach when I pictured it. Hacking it is. Thanks, Viv. You're the best. I sighed. Isabella sat in her room, her pet snake Monty draped over her shoulders while she typed furiously on her laptop. Behind her, a mountain of clothes covered her bed and half obscured the oil portrait of Monty that Sloane and I had commissioned as a joke for her birthday last year. Most writers preferred silence and solitude, but Isabella worked best surrounded by chaos. She said growing up with 4 older brothers had conditioned her to thrive in mayhem. Anyway, she said after several minutes of hacking her poor characters to pieces on the page. Back to the topic at hand. You need to take the sex for a test drive before you commit. You don't want to be stuck with someone bad in bed. Not that I think Dante would have that problem, she added. I bet he fucks like... Stop. I held up a hand. We are not discussing my fiancé's sexual prowess over the phone. Or ever. There's nothing to discuss. You haven't had sex yet. Isabella's cheeks dimpled while Monty forked his tongue as if in agreement. You'll have to do it eventually. If not before the wedding, then on the wedding night and honeymoon. Unless you both plan on being celibate for the rest of your lives. She wrinkled her nose. I put on my earrings in silence, but a flutter of nerves cascaded through my stomach. She made a good point. I'd been so focused on planning the actual wedding, I hadn't given much thought to what would happen after. The marriage bed. The honeymoon. The heat of Dante's naked torso against mine and his mouth. My throat dried, and I banished the X-rated mental image to the darkest recesses of my mind before it took root. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I said in a hopefully convincing tone. We barely know each other. My truce with Dante had held up surprisingly well since our late-night snack rendezvous last week. But despite the occasional conversation when we were both home, a rare occurrence given our busy schedules, my future husband remained an enigma. No better night to get to know each other than tonight. Isabella leaned back and stretched her arms over her head. A mischievous glint lit her eyes. There are plenty of sexy nooks and crannies at the club. Don't tell me you've taken advantage of those already. It's only been... I mentally calculated how long she'd been working at Valhalla. 3 weeks. Of course not. She dropped her arms. It's against the rules to fraternize with members. I'm all for rule breaking, but this is the best job I've had in years. I'm not losing it so I can be a notch in some rich guy's bedpost, no matter how hot he is. Her expression flickered before it brightened again. Fucking or no fucking, I can't wait for you to see the place. It's absolutely bonkers. The entry hall floor is inlaid with solid 24-karat gold. And there's a rooftop helipad with a helicopter rental service that'll fly you anywhere within the tri-state area for lunch. She continued describing Valhalla's amenities in detail. I smiled at Isabella's enthusiasm even as nerves invaded my stomach. Tonight was my official society debut as Dante Russo's fiancée. Our engagement party didn't count. That had been a private affair attended by friends and family. The annual fall costume gala at the Valhalla Club, on the other hand, was a different matter. I'd attended dozens of high society events before, but I'd never been invited to Valhalla since my family weren't members. I was more on edge than I cared to admit, but at least Isabella would be there. She was working the second half of the gala, which meant one guaranteed friendly face. I stayed on the phone with her for another few minutes until she left for her shift. After I hung up, I took a deep breath, double-checked my reflection, and applied a second coat of red lipstick for extra confidence before I exited my room. The faint sounds of Greta's favorite Italian game show drifted from the kitchen as I walked to the foyer. She liked watching TV while cooking, and said Dante had installed the kitchen's small flat screen for her when she started working for him. He'd threatened to remove it if any of her meals weren't up to par, but no one took his threats seriously. He was ruthless with outsiders, but he treated his staff like family, albeit one he kept at an arm's length and had extremely high expectations of. My stomach dipped when he came into view. Dante waited in the foyer, his head bent over his phone. He'd adhered to the gala's 1920s theme with his trademark precision. Sleek, three-piece charcoal tweed suit, matching newsboy cap, signature frown. If you keep scowling, your face will freeze that way. I attempted a light tone, but it came out embarrassingly breathy. His eyes flicked up.
Very fun.
The abrupt break in his sentence charged the air, as sudden and devastating as a lightning strike. My steps faltered, then halted altogether. Every nerve ending sparked with awareness, sending goosebumps down my spine and oxygen out of my lungs as our gazes met. Dante didn't take his eyes off mine, but his attention somehow touched every inch of my body until it came alive, like a black and white film thrown into Technicolor.
You look...
He paused, an unidentifiable emotion passing over his face.
nice.
The dark, velvety pitch of the word nice sent a thrill through my veins. The mirror next to him reflected what he saw. An ivory-beaded lace gown that bared my back and shoulders and fell to my thighs in a graceful line. Intricate, thickly woven patterns over strategic areas saved the dress from being completely see-through, but it would have still bordered on scandalous had it not been for the elegant cut. The outfit bared miles of skin and made me look almost naked from a distance, but one didn't dress to blend into the surroundings at Valhalla. They dressed to stand out. Thank you. I swallowed my hoarseness and tried again. So do you. The 20s suit you. The corner of his mouth tipped up.
Thank you.
He held out his arm. After a brief hesitation, I took it. Silence wrapped around us as we took the elevator to the lobby and slid into the back seat of the waiting Rolls-Royce. I smoothed a hand over my skirt, unsure what else to do. How's work? I asked when the silence stretched into uncomfortable territory. I've barely seen you all week.
Missed me?
Amusement lengthened his drawl. As much as a sailor misses scurvy. Surprise burst through me at his laugh. Not a chuckle, not a scoff, but an honest-to-God laugh. The rich sound filled the car and seeped beneath my skin, where it transformed into a bloom of pleasure.
You truly come up with the most flattering comparisons.
His dry tone contrasted with the sparkle in his eyes. My stomach swooped like I'd just plunged down the slope of a roller coaster. The sight of a laughing, unguarded Dante was utterly catastrophic for my ovaries. It's a talent I honed growing up. I tried to focus past my body's unwilling and, frankly, annoying reaction to a simple laugh. During boring social events, my sister and I played a game where we had to come up with a good animal comparison for each guest. Alice Fong was a rabbit because she only ate salads and was constantly twitching her nose. Bryce Collins was a donkey because, well, he was a stubborn ass. So on and so forth. My cheeks heated. It sounds silly, but it helped us pass the time.
I don't doubt it.
Dante leaned back, the picture of casual insouciance.
What would you liken me to?
A dragon. Glorious in his power, terrifying in his anger, and magnificent even in repose. If you'd asked me before our truce, I would have said an ill-mannered boar, I said instead. Since we're being nice, I'll upgrade you to a honey badger.
The most fearless animal in the world. I'll take it.
I blinked at how well he took it. Most people would not appreciate being compared to a honey badger.
To answer your earlier question, work has been aggravating.
Dante's cufflinks glinted in the light from a passing street lamp. Silver, elegant, stamped with the letter V.
The deal I'm working on is a pain in the ass, but I'm flying to California on Tuesday to hopefully close it.
The Sonteri deal? I'd read about it in the news. One eyebrow rose.
Yes.
You'll get it done. You've never lost out on an acquisition before. His answering smile could have melted butter.
I appreciate your faith in me, mia cara.
Warmth spread through me like wildfire. Dante's voice and use of the term mia cara should be outlawed. They were too lethal to unleash on an unsuspecting female population.
How was Tippy Darlington's birthday?
He asked casually.
Buffy happy?
Another tendril of surprise snaked through my chest. I'd mentioned the party to him in passing only once, weeks ago. I couldn't believe he remembered. It went well. Buffy is thrilled.
Good.
I suppressed a smile as I turned and stared out the window. The question about the Darlingtons made me oddly happy. Friday night Manhattan traffic was a nightmare. But eventually, we broke through the gridlock and pulled up to a pair of giant black iron gates flanked by stone guardhouses. Dante flashed his chip-embedded invitation and membership card at one of the stoic-faced guards. The guard typed something on his computer, and a full 30 seconds passed before the gates slid open with a smooth electronic whir.
Car and biometric scans.
Dante said in reply to my questioning stare.
Every person and vehicle who wants access to the property is registered in the club's in-house system, including staff and contractors. If someone attempts to enter without proper authorization once, they'll be turned away with a stern warning. If they attempt twice...
An elegant shrug.
There won't be a third time.
I chose not to ask what he meant. Sometimes ignorance was bliss. We drove down a winding road lit by hundreds of glowing lanterns in the trees. I felt like we were at a country estate instead of Upper Manhattan. How could such a place exist in the middle of the city? Whoever built it must have sunk a fortune into buying all the land and permits necessary to create a veritable private oasis on some of the most coveted real estate in the country. I grew up surrounded by wealth, but this was on another level.
Don't be nervous.
Dante's gruff voice interrupted my musings.
It's just a party.
I'm not nervous.
Your knuckles are white.
I looked down at where I clutched my knee in a death grip. My knuckles were, indeed, white. I relaxed them, only for my knee to bounce with anticipation instead. Dante closed his hand over mine and pressed it against my thigh, forcing me to still. A rush of awareness shot through me and narrowed in on the sight of his hand swallowing mine. His grip was firm but surprisingly gentle, and after a moment of frozen surprise, I chanced to peek at him. Dante stared straight ahead, his profile like granite. He looked bored, almost distracted, but the reassuring strength of his touch melted the edges of my rising anxiety. My heartbeats gradually slowed as the trees cleared and the Valhalla Club itself came into view. My breath whooshed out in one soft gasp. Wow! I shouldn't have expected any less, but Valhalla was an absolute masterpiece of architecture. The elegant neoclassical main building stretched over 4 stories and an entire city block. Soft floodlights illuminated its grand white exterior, and an opulent crimson carpet covered the stairs leading up to the double-height entrance. A line of luxury cars snaked down the drive, the subject of eagle-eyed scrutiny from the expressionless guards on duty. Ours stopped behind an armored Mercedes. Dante and I exited the car and walked to the entrance, where a steady stream of guests in bespoke suits and exquisite dresses ascended the stairs. Despite the literal red carpet and buzz of excitement in the air, there were no photographers present. People didn't attend a Valhalla event to flaunt for the public. They were here to flaunt for each other. Dante placed a hand on the small of my back and guided me into the entry hall, where I immediately spotted what Isabella was talking about. A magnificent gold V inlaid into the floor, its 3 points touching the surrounding circle and glowing bright against an expanse of gleaming black marble. The gala took place in the club's ballroom, but we couldn't move 2 feet without someone stopping us to greet Dante. "How long have you been a member?" I asked after we extricated ourselves from yet another conversation about the stock market. "You seem to know everyone. Or everyone seems to know you."
Since I was 21. It's the minimum age for members.
A wry smile flickered over Dante's mouth.
Didn't stop my grandfather from trying to back-channel his way into a membership for me when I was 18. But there are things even Enzo Russo couldn't do.
It was only the second time he'd mentioned his grandfather, the first being after our engagement shoot. Enzo Russo, the legendary businessman and founder of the Russo Group, had died over the summer from a heart attack. His death had dominated headlines for well over a month. Dante had taken over as CEO years before Enzo's death, but his grandfather had stayed on as president and chairman of the board. Now Dante held all 3 positions. "Do you miss him?" I asked softly.
Miss isn't the right word.
We passed through the foyer and down a long hallway toward what I assumed was the ballroom. Dante's voice was devoid of emotion.
He raised me and taught me everything I know about business and the world. I respected him, but we'd never been close. Not the way grandfathers and grandsons are supposed to be close.
"What about your parents?" I didn't know much about Giovanni and Janice Russo other than Giovanni had passed on running the company.
They're doing what they always do.
Dante said cryptically.
You'll see.
Right. We were spending Thanksgiving with them in Bali. We passed through another security check near the ballroom before the doors opened and instantly transported me into a world of glittering 1920s decadence. An Art Deco bar spanned the full length of the eastern wall, its black lacquer and gold accents shining with as much luster as the bottles of top-shelf liquor behind it. For those who didn't want to wait at the bar, impeccably dressed servers circulated with gin and tonics, martini carts, and champagne trolleys brimming with bubbly. Lively music from the jazz band danced over the soft clink of glasses and elegant laughter, and intimate spaces scattered throughout the room like oases of rich velvets and plush seating. In one corner, dealers lorded over 6 poker tables. In another, a silent film played via an old-school projector reel. The ballroom itself soared 4 stories toward a glass dome, where a breathtaking projection of the night sky painted it with constellations so vivid, I almost believed I could see Orion and Cassiopeia from Manhattan.
Live up to your expectations?
Dante's hand lingered on my lower back. I nodded, too distracted by the surrounding opulence and hint of possessiveness in his touch to come up with a witty answer. Dante and I spent the first hour mingling with other club members. Unlike at our engagement party, we were perfectly in sync, stepping in when the other didn't answer and excusing ourselves when the conversation had run its course. Toward the end of the hour, Dominic Davenport, whom I remembered from our party, pulled him away to discuss business. I took the opportunity for a quick bathroom break with Dominic's wife Alessandra. "I love your dress," she said as we retouched our makeup. "Is it Lila Amiri?" "Yes," I said, impressed. Lila was a talented but up-and-coming designer. Not many people recognized her work on sight. "I saw it at New York Fashion Week and thought it would be perfect for tonight." "You were right. Dante can't take his eyes off you." Alessandra smiled, a trace of sadness crossing her face. "You're very lucky to have such an attentive partner." With her thick, caramel-browned hair and blue-gray eyes, she was extraordinarily beautiful, but she also seemed deeply unhappy. Our exchange about the dress had been the most animated I'd seen her all night. It's not all sunshine and roses. Dante and I have our differences. Trust me. Differences are better than nothing, she murmured. We exited the bathroom, but she stopped at the entrance to the ballroom. I'm sorry. I've come down with a terrible headache. Can you please tell Dominic I've gone home? A frown touched my brow. Of course, but wouldn't you rather tell him yourself? I'm sure he'll want to know if you're not feeling well. No. Once he gets into business mode, it's impossible to pry him away. A tiny, bitter smile flashed across Alessandra's face. I'll leave him to his work. It was nice meeting you, Vivian. You too. I hope you feel better soon. I waited until she disappeared around the corner before I approached Dominic and Dante. Dominic's gaze flicked to the empty space next to me. Alessandra said to tell you she has a headache and had to go home, I explained. Unidentifiable emotion flashed through his eyes before it vanished beneath pools of inscrutable blue.
Thank you for letting me know.
I paused, waiting for more of a reaction. None came. Men. They were clueless half the time and callous the other half. Dante and Dominic weren't done talking shop, so I excused myself again and wound my way to the bar. Discussing the ups and downs of the S&P 500 was not my idea of a fun Friday night. A smile broke out on my face when I spotted a familiar glint of purple-black hair behind the counter. What does a girl have to do to get a drink around here? I quipped, taking the stool closest to her. Isabella looked up from the drink she was making. Finally, the VIP deigns to drop by. She garnished the glass with a wedge of lime and slid it toward me. Gin and tonic, just the way you like it. Perfect timing. I took a sip. Have I mentioned how amazing you are? Yes, but I don't mind hearing it again. Her eyes sparkled. I saw you coming from a mile away. I guess people aren't interested in seeking out drinks when they can have the drinks brought to them. The bar was empty save for a couple sitting at the far end, but the themed alcohol carts were a huge hit. I get paid the full amount no matter how many drinks I serve, so it's no skin off my back. Isabella patted her pocket. I do, however, have a gift for you. Say the word and it's yours. I sighed, already knowing where the conversation was headed. Once she latched onto an idea, she was relentless. Save your breath. I'm not having sex with him. Why? He's hot. You're hot. The sex is guaranteed to be hot, she argued. Come on, Viv. Let me live vicariously through you. My life is so boring these days. Despite her naturally flirtatious personality and propensity for writing about sex and murder, Isabella hadn't dated anyone in over a year. I didn't blame her after what happened. If I were her, I'd swear off guys for the foreseeable future, too. You can live vicariously through books, too. Stick to those, because sex with Dante tonight? Not happening. No matter how good he looked or how my body responded to the idea. Isabella's lips pursed in disappointment. Fine. But if you change your mind, I have strawberry-flavored condoms. Magnum size, ribbed for your... A light cough interrupted her. Isabella's smile dropped like a concrete kite, and I turned to see Kai watching us with bemusement.
Apologies for interrupting, but I'd like to order another drink.
He set his empty glass on the counter.
I can't get through another conversation about the latest society scandal without more alcohol, I'm afraid.
Wryness touched his last sentence. Of course. Isabella regained her composure with admirable speed. What can I get for you?
Gin and tonic, strawberry-flavored.
I almost choked on my drink while Isabella's face turned an alarming shade of red. She stared at Kai, obviously trying to figure out if he was mocking her. He stared back, his face the picture of polite impassiveness. One strawberry gin and tonic coming right up, she said. She busied herself with the drink, her embarrassment a tangible weight in the air.
Should I be worried she'll spit in my drink?
Kai took the stool next to mine, looking like he'd just stepped off the set of a Great Gatsby revival. Between him and Dante, I was convinced a 20-style outfit increased a man's attractiveness tenfold. She's not that vindictive. Most of the time. And if she does, you'll see her. I hesitated, then asked, "How much of our conversation did you hear?"
I don't know what you're talking about.
He said mildly. Relief settled in my chest. I didn't think Kai was the gossiping type, but it was nice to have confirmation. "Kai Young, you deserve all the goodness in the world." He laughed.
I'll keep that in mind for days when I'm feeling low.
He accepted his drink from Isabella, who gave him a tight smile before double-speeding it to the other end of the bar. His amused gaze lingered on her for a fraction of a beat before he shifted his attention back to me.
How's living with Dante? Has he driven you mad with his insistence on spacing all his candles exactly 6 inches apart yet?
Don't get me started. Dante's control freak tendencies extended past his food quirks and into every area of the household. Sometimes it was oddly charming. Other times, it made me want to drive a steak knife through his thigh. The other day, our housekeeper Greta moved the candles in the living room. Kai and I chatted for a while, our conversation winding from Dante to the gala to our upcoming holiday plans, until he received an urgent email and excused himself to answer it. While he typed on his phone, I scanned the room, breathless from alcohol and the electric buzz in the air. My distracted survey stopped on a pair of cool, dark eyes, and the breath stalled in my lungs. Dante watched me, his face unreadable, but heat flickered beneath his stony stare. He appeared to be completely ignoring Dominic. The seconds stretched into a long thrum of tension. Tiny sparks ignited all over my body, and my heart fluttered with a wild rhythm I was sure couldn't be healthy. A muscle ticked in Dante's jaw when he slid his gaze to Kai for a brief second, before bringing it back to me.
Apologies.
Kai's calm voice shattered the tension and chased away the sparks.
News doesn't stop, even for a Valhalla event.
He placed his phone on the counter next to his glass. Dominic said something that turned Dante's head, and I pulled my eyes away from him with considerable effort. "No worries." I mustered a smile over the frantic beats of my heart. I felt like I'd run a marathon while sitting for the past minute. The world is still spinning, I hope.
It depends on who you ask.
I made it a point not to look at Dante again as I listened to Kai discuss the latest breaking news. If he wanted to talk to me, he knew where I was. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the warmth of Dante's attention or cage the butterflies it had set free.
You want Dante's penis, don't you, Squidward? I don't know about you guys, but, yeah. And soy sauce and ice cream? I don't know about that combination. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. But yeah, I love how in the beginning of this episode, I was just saying, I wonder how these guys are gonna get together. And, yeah. We see the makings of her kind of being like, you know what? He kind of looking good. And then all the girls are like, yo, he's got a big dick. You might as well do it. So, you know, I think it's a combination of just like her, you know, starting to realize, you know what, hey, you know what I mean, homie is kind of nice, and then all the girls are like, yo, he's got a big wiener, and that combination, she's like, you know, I just might do it. I don't know. We'll see next week, all right? That's going to be the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I will see you guys on Friday if you're on Patreon, or I'll see you on streams this weekend, or I'll see you next week on Tuesday's episode, all right? I believe maybe Sunday's episode. I think Sunday is an episode. I believe so. I don't know. Love you guys all. I'll see you later, and peace.